Hi everybody, how's everyone doing today? Sorry for the late start. How are you guys doing? Um, Welcome everyone. Privacy is public. Just making sure everything's running okay. Okie dokie, let's get started on today's class. As you've noticed, I've been starting sometimes half an hour later. That's just because I'm trying my best to make everything work so that I'm not canceling any critique hours, even if it's half an hour critique hour or a critique hour that starts a little later. It's still worth it to try to get one done. It's telling me my audio bitrate is too low. If there's an issue with my audio, please let me know in the chat so that I can take care of it. So what are we doing today? Rubs hands suspiciously. So I have this piece today. I have a number of pieces. Um, I have this one. I really wanted to take a look at this one because it is very reminiscent of the pieces I used to critique when I first started doing Critique Hour and the kind of art that was handed in. And honestly, I absolutely love it. I love this piece. I love just the passion in it and the fearlessness and the desire to try and a low angle 3/4 view, no less. It is one of the hardest angles to try, and this person went for it, and I'm really proud of them. And I went to the subreddit post where they actually have this posted. First of all, the comments like killed me. I was dying. And once I recovered, I was like, no, I need to critique this for them because no one actually critiqued it. Everyone was just laughing at it, and no one actually critiqued it. So I don't know the original artist. I will try my best to send this critique hour to them once it's uploaded. But I'm going to start with this one first and then move on to the other ones. It's going to be an exciting class. I have a lot lined up. I have this one. I think this is from Chainsaw Man, an amazing piece. It was sent to me earlier when I requested you guys send in some pieces to critique before class. This one, which was sent into the Discord critique channel, and I collect homework from two sources. Not homework. I collect your pieces that I critique for free from two main sources, my subreddit and my Discord community. Both of those are free. You can join them anytime you want. But if you want to join my Patreon Discord, which is a private Discord for apprentices, that's $20 a month, and you get homework, assignments, critiques. You can hand in 3 different types of homework. The assignment I give you every month, your personal work, or alternative fundamentals homework. Hey, shh, we talked about this. Sophie, shh. So, let's get started. So for this, outside of the, let's talk about why it's funny. It's funny because the concept of like you combined 2 different types of faces together. That's why it's funny. It's funny because it's so out of place. But you did a lot of stuff right. Like for instance, the neck and this, all of this was right. And we're going in the right direction. And eventually you would have had a kind of a complete rotation if you had just continued the head from where you had the neck. Obviously, the size of the face can't be smaller in girth and size than the neck is and the jawline. So we have some misplaced sizes here. And I am seriously critiquing this because this is serious art outside of the meme world. This is serious art that's been submitted. So let's take care of some stuff. The line you use here for the jaw is overrated. You don't need it. You don't need that line. Let's get rid of it first. And what you've done with the face is that you've squished the face instead of actually rotating it in 3/4 view, which would look something like this. We would see the bottom of the nose, we would see the eye, we would see the other eye behind it. And I'm pretty sure you guys have a reference of FRIEREN. This is shot from the anime itself. And so what you did is you basically took the whole head and made it a neck. The neck should be much thinner, and we don't need that line because what's revealing the low angle is the fact that we can see the bottom of the nose. The bottom of the nose controls the perspective of the face. Write that down. So the bottom of the nose, any side of the nose, but the bottom really. If you see the bottom of the nose, you know you're in some kind of perspective. And that is the biggest giveaway. So we don't need all this extra work for all these lines here. If there was in the original anime, I don't have the original anime shot from the scene, but the bottom of the nose controls the perspective because it's really going to do all the work for the perspective. You don't need that extra line. So we got rid of that. There's a lot of head and a lot of neck, but very little face. So let's just take this whole face area and we're just going to enlarge it. We're just going to enlarge it and place it beside, try to get it to match what's happening with the neck, okay? And then we're just going to try to match the volumes, try to match the sizes. You can see how small the face was to that neck size. All right, and then we're going to go to the neck and then we're going to shrink that. So we're meeting halfway with both the neck size and the face size. The bottom of the head, the back of the head at the bottom, curves right into the neck. There's not much extra transition that you need. And so I'm just trying to make this whole head make sense without thinking about the face. That's why I separated the face. Okay, so in order to do that properly, I'll just completely get rid of the face. That way, while liquefying, we're not precious about the features of the face. All right, so we have less visibility at the top of the head because we're seeing the bottom of the nose. The bottom of the nose tells us we can no longer see the top of the head anymore. So we got this basic square, but we can't leave it as a square because FRIEREN's face is more like a seed shape or like an oval shape, that classic anime shape with the kind of pointy chin at the bottom. Not pointy chin, but more like an almond-shaped face. Okay, and then I'm gonna actually just remove the ear with transform instead. So now we have like a head size that matches what's happening. I'm going to make the collar reveal the curvature of the neck. So see that it was kind of straight with the bottom of the canvas. Letting that collar curve with the neck is a big deal because again, it reveals the perspective. So perspective is all about moving the largest object in the perspective and the smaller objects follow. And I think what you did that reached it to this level of like uncanny is that you did everything at the same time. Not even professional artists do all of the aspects of the perspective at the same time, unless they have like gone through the motions so many times that it's like a circus act at that point. They can really, and then you know exactly what they're doing. They've drawn this image 1,000 times. They can just do it blindfolded. Unless it's that memorized, the process, no big artist, bigger or professional or anything like that will try this much perspective all in the same brushstroke. They draw the biggest thing first, which is the head size, and then they go and attach the smaller things after. So what are the two biggest things that are revealing the perspective here? You can argue it's the head and the nose or the head and the ears, but it's always the head first. All right, so I'm just trying to clean up here. And I'm trying to get the bottom ear, that back ear, out of the way. Nice and out of the way so that I could just place this ear, oopsie, I could just place this ear where it belongs in the perspective, which is low. If the head points up, the ear goes low. So forgive me while I do this for us real quick. So I have a lot of pieces to go through today. I'm going to try to get them all done. And I'm really going for, you know, like two a week for the rest of the winter together. I'm really going to try to make it to all of these critique hours. But yeah, this is critique hour. This is what we do here. We hand in work. I take a look at it, and that's it. That's the whole thing. I just put all of my effort into making it look better and helping you find and unravel the mystery and problem solve your way around your illustration. So right now the head is looking okay on its own. I'm not even thinking about the face. And this is exactly how you should have started your illustration. This is how you should have started it. You should have practiced the head size first. So I have a little resource I show my students. I still to this day don't know who made it. Probably should reverse search this by now. But this wonderful artist created, whoever they are, I love you. I've used this to show all my students for years. They made this beautiful collage. He said, or they said, these help you understand these. So heads in perspective, 2-point perspective, 1-point perspective, help you understand, squares in perspective, help you understand heads in perspective. And so this is the particular head that you drew today, the 3/4 view low angle. So it's not just straight on, it's 3/4 view low angle. Sorry for the pixels. And so this, in order to get to this level, to evolve to this level, you have to draw a head straight on. You have to rotate it slightly. You have to start experimenting with a low angle square in perspective. And then you work your way towards adding the features. You went from level 0 and you jumped straight into, with level 0 weapon, you jumped straight into like level 10. One of the hardest perspectives for any artist to do, professional or not. So that's always going to create room for failure, because even if you draw a face from front view really well, you're automatically going to drop in skill and when you attempt to draw it in 3/4 view. Automatically. It's just part of the deal. There will be a learning curve. As soon as you shift into 3/4 view, ask any of the artists here, ask any of the 14-day challengers, there's always some significant skill drop whenever you shift perspectives. It's just how it works. There's always this awkward zone. There's always an awkward place. But once you get through that initial awkward head rotation study, that first scary one, things start to look a lot better. I feel like her pigtails would be visible somewhat from this angle, so I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more on this angle just to kind of show them off a little bit. Okay, and then the face. So now that we have everything separated, let's bring in aspects of the face back in. Before we do that, we have to know where the face is going. And because we know the general area of the ear, we can draw the rest, we can map out the rest of these, the general area of the rest of these features. And they move with this structure. Find the vertical symmetry line, which is in this general location. I also think that FRIEREN's bangs would be tucked into the back somewhere, higher along the face. I don't think they'd be, I also don't know what her hairstyle looks like, but let's just throw the bangs upward a little bit because we need to see a little bit more forehead. But let me just pretend that her bangs are like low or something just for now until I find a good reference. So now that we know where all the features are going, we can just estimate generally where we expect to see the nose, where we would expect to see the mouth. We have to make sure the mouth follows that perspective, where we'd expect to see the eye, and we just lay in some general guiding markers. And the eyebrows are high in this angle because they're further away from the eye because we're seeing the bottom of the eyebrow. And I usually flip my canvas to make sure that everything makes sense. All right, may adjust some stuff once I add the face back in. And I'm just gonna clean up around her pretty earring. I love FRIEREN's design. I love the colors. I love that little bit of red or orange they have in her pupil. Oh my gosh, iris, I mean, everything they did about her design is beautiful. I love the use of white, the use of gold. It's all just so, so nice. And then I'm going to grab this eye and bring it in. All right, and I'm just gonna shrink the eye, adjust it to match where I expected to see all these features. So you have these eyebrows, so these eyebrows can now be adjusted upward. Okay, and I think you did a very good job. Like a lot of people, again, are laughing, but I think you did an excellent job with the face on its own. It's just that when you attached it to when you, I'm sorry, I'm laughing too. I'm such a hypocrite. When you attached it to the head, something, you know, went wrong. But the face on its own is good for the face. Just on the face, I think you did a good job. All right, so FRIEREN's eyes kind of point down. They have this cat eye look, as most anime characters do. Flipping the canvas, making sure that, you know, everything feels like it's in the right spot. Flipping the canvas helps you interrupt your tunnel vision, and you start seeing things a lot better. Mistakes that you're not seeing, things you're not catching right away. Flipping the canvas is really good for that. And then we're gonna grab the nose. Almost done. I think it's the cutest drawing I've seen in a long time. I was dying. I was dying when I first saw it. You're gonna be a legend for the rest of your life. Do you know that? Like, are you aware of this? And I'm just going to, oopsie, I'm just going to adjust the perspective on the nose. Maybe I can try it with liquify, because the nose needs to look like it's pointing up in that perspective, right? We need to look like we're seeing more of the bottom of the nose. So let me show you what that looks like. This looks like we're seeing it from the side through quarter view. And this looks like we're seeing it from the bottom, because we're seeing more of the bottom of the nostril. Okay, and then the mouth. The mouth is adorable. Let's add that in. I think the mouth was a little too small for what you were doing here, and it looks a little bit too much like an emoji smile. But let's try to do something with it that matches kind of where FRIEREN is mentally. It kind of feels more FRIEREN to do this. Do you know what I mean? Like it's kind of how she usually pouts or pout. So let me try that. Okay, and so my perspective is all in place. I'm going to get rid of my guiding lines, and I'm going to just clean up. That's all I'm going to do next. And I'm just going to duplicate this eyebrow here. Just going to merge down all of these features. Okay. And I'm just going to take this eyebrow and flip it, take it over there, and try to align it with where that rest of the eyebrow should be according to the nose. Okay, so now that we've corrected most of the face, I can try to enlarge the face now to match the head. And the perspective will still hold, because all of these features are still relative to each other on this curve. And then I'll do one final little adjustment on the head now that I know where the face is, and everything should sort of fall into place. I'm a little bit worried about merging it down just yet. Let us try to just use pinch tool on the bottom. That neck was very, very large. And I'm just cleaning up around that curve that I added. Okay. And just feel like the face we can afford to make it a little bit bigger. Again, the perspective is all intact. And these ears and everything in between need to be cleaned up. So we wouldn't see any more of the skin where the hair should grow. right? We wouldn't see any more of that. So no more skin under the ear. We can connect the ear to the face. We can add some extra hair. Again, I'm not sure exactly what FRIEREN's hair looks like. And then I'm just showing some sky between the pigtails. And then I'll throw in some of my own lines. So yeah, I saw it and I was like, this is my time. This is time for me to show. It's time for me to do what I do best. Talk about perspective. So I'm just talk about portraits and three-quarter view and all that. That's kind of what I do around here. I talk about portraits. I talk about how to prioritize the fundamentals. And we do critique. We do tons of critique. So I think that this is what was in your mind when you started out, but you took on too many tasks at the same time, and it led to that kind of confused level of tasks. Like your tasks they all happened at the wrong time, in the wrong order. The first task is always identify the perspective, find the largest object, find the geometric anatomy, which is the square that guides all things, all matter, the cube, sorry, and find the z-axis, find the rotation, and then from there, you should be able to easily locate where the anatomy is in relation to all of that. And then filter, liquefy. So this is a step in the right direction. I didn't want to make it look too different from where you started off. I still want to make it look like your work. So that's why I'm just shifting things around instead of redrawing it or restarting it or anything like that. And just trying to continue bringing everything back toward the head so the head again doesn't feel too big in comparison to the rest of the image. That's good enough for now. I have other pieces to look at. So we have the before and after, which I do at the end of every critique. It's a step in the right direction. We could work on it a little bit more. You could also do a study of the original painting. I'm actually not sure if I copied it, so let me just make sure. So before, after, it's still your lines, it's still your drawing, it's still your work, it's still your brush work. But here is a change that, like, I feel like you can still work towards trying to get it done without, I'm trying not to, be too insensitive, but you can still keep a lot of this illustration, cut away the rest of it, delete the rest of it, keep the eye, just like I showed you. I didn't delete your work, I readjusted it. And you can get rid of some of the stuff that's just in the way, like I showed you, the neck here, the thickness of the neck. I know a lot of people have been laughing at what you created, and I know you've been a really great sport about it. You've been a wonderful sport about it from what I've seen in the comments, but no one really stopped to show you exactly what you did wrong when it came to the anatomy and the perspective. So I think this is a good step in the right direction. And again, pat on the back, because you took on a really difficult perspective. You took on like one of the most difficult ones, like I showed you guys. Low angle three-quarter view is the killer. And I dare anybody who laughed at you, including myself. I'm sorry, I didn't laugh at you. Okay, I laughed a lot. I didn't laugh at you. I thought it was adorable. I love it because this is how I started. I started by critiquing artists who had these kinds of mistakes, and there is a special place in my heart for artists who take on such difficult perspectives so early in their journey. It's so much courage. It's so much courage to try this. And you put it out there, and the world did what it did with it. Who cares? But I think this is a great learning opportunity for you. And for a lot of people who are watching, this is one of the hardest perspectives to do. Also, I'm curious, did you do this without any reference? And if you did, yeah, I think you managed to capture a lot of it by memory. But before, after, less head, more face. The perspective can be controlled through the nose. You don't need that edge on the jawline. There's a lot of line dependence in this. Study your geometry, study your rotation, and I think you'll do an amazing job. It's a great first step in your journey to becoming an artist, and don't feel discouraged. Don't feel like, oh my gosh, my very first mistake was, imagine we showed our art back when there was no internet, how much of our art would have been turned into memes and all of that. So you just threw it out there into the internet. And I think that was really courageous of you. Let's go to this one next. This one's amazing. I think you did an amazing job with the atmospheric perspective. With the atmospheric ambient light on the leather, with the hair, with the detail, with the folds of the shirt. But there's one big glaring mistake happening here, and that is on the head. So let me give you guys a quick little trick for this. I think this is the Chainsaw Man chick, right? Like she's from Chainsaw Man. I could be wrong. So let's get rid of her face. All right, and I just want you to just take a look at her face for a little bit, just for a little bit. Everyone can do this. Non-artists and artists alike have this skill. Everybody paying attention? So let's take a look. All right, I'm just looking at her. I'm just looking at her, thinking about her features without the face. Everybody paying attention? So what's happening here? The ear is very small for her head size. Extremely small, in fact. Okay, and so I expect the ear, just out of my own personal skill, I expect the ear to be somewhere here. Let me use something else. Let me use green. Okay, I expect the ear to be here somewhere. Because I now know where the ear is, I know where the rest of the face should be. So let me put the ear in 3 different spots, but they're all generally the same area. So average it out. And then I know this is where the middle of the chin is. Okay, everybody's here. And this is where the vertical symmetry line should be. Okay, and that means that the eye would be somewhere here. The nose would be somewhere here. Again, just averaging the spot of the ears. Okay, the mouth would be somewhere here. The ears would be somewhere here. The eyebrows would be somewhere here. Right, we're just creating really general, multiple lines to find this general area. The nose, let me redo the nose real quick, would be somewhere here. So this leaves us with the hair. The hair feels like it's really like she's wearing a helmet. Do you know what I mean? Like it feels like she's wearing some kind of helmet. So it feels like the hair, this is just tied back. It shouldn't feel like she has that much volume. And I think you've lost the familiarity of the character. Are you guys ready to see where the face actually is? Look at how low the face is. So the nose is in an okay spot, but the bridge is collapsed. The ear is what's throwing you off. The face is much too small for the head. Much too small. And that happens when an artist starts with the face, adds a bunch of really, really interesting hair stuff, and the hair, because you added it, you're now avoiding it. It's like, I forget what the term of psychologically what happens, but when you're trying to avoid something, you unconsciously avoid it. You don't really notice that you're avoiding it, like the edge of the canvas when you're drawing a character, and then the edge of the canvas makes you shrink the hand even smaller than it needs to be. Edge of the canvas, anything that is like important that you're trying to avoid, any borders, while you're drawing, you just accidentally don't realize that you're avoiding the face, avoiding the bangs. The reason you're avoiding the bangs is because you don't want to hide the face. You already finished drawing the face. You don't want to restart it. So many reasons add up, and in the end of the day, you end up with this like a disproportionate layout for the portrait. So that's the biggest issue, and it's really easy to fix. It shouldn't be too difficult. It starts with the ears. The ears are a great giveaway for where the perspective is. So I'm raising the ears up to match. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to duplicate. I'm going to merge this down, just like I did before. I'm going to merge this down. I'm going to liquefy the face, the head, sorry, without the face visible. So I'm placing the ear where I think it should go. I'm pushing in the skull. This is a tight kind of, what's it called? Like not skin tight. It's like a skin tight haircut, hairstyle. It's really close to the scalp. The hair is pulled all the way back. It's not like a 1960s nest hairstyle where the hair is just adding like a bunch of volume with hairspray and stuff. It's a very just classic back ponytail braid thing. So you shouldn't have that much unnecessary volume because I think you've lost the likeness of the character. It feels like she's wearing a wig on top of a wig. All right, so before, do you see what I mean by helmet? After, before, after. The ear kind of got moved a little bit as well. So I'm just placing the ear where I think it should go. I think you have a fear of hiding facial features. You shouldn't be afraid of it. You should just kind of draw the facial features where they need to go and then add the hair. That'll really help you. So see how big it was before? It looked like she had a helmet, and on top of the helmet, she put the hair, the wig, right? And so now we can bring the face and place it where we feel like it should go. What's going on? Let me do that again. Copy. Okay, there we go. And so now we can adjust the face so it matches the proportions a little better. I just need to make sure I know where the face starts, so I have to delete the chin a little bit. And I need to find my original lines, so I'm generally in the right spot. The head rotation isn't quite what I predicted, but that's okay. And I'm going to like give the face a little volume. So just pushing it out a little to match this perspective shift. And then I'm going to just try to camouflage the rest of the hair in there. And zooming all the way out to make sure I don't make any mistakes. Always flipping the canvas. Interrupt your tunnel vision, interrupt your point of view. Always, it'll really help you. And trying to match that vertical symmetry line with the rest of the image. Don't be afraid of hiding the face in the bangs. Don't be afraid of the face disappearing behind the bangs. That's always charming in a design. And it also shows fearlessness in the artist. Okay, and so I believe I lost some of your brush strokes, so I'm just going to try to find them. But this is an amazing, amazing piece you've drawn. You've done so well, but it's just another example of how even really, really professional looking work can run into fundamental perspective issues. The head in perspective is no joke. And that's why most of my students are always assigned portraits on some level in some way. All my students have to do portraits. Even if it's just one assignment together, if they're a little bit more advanced. I also diagnose my students through portraits. It's really, really useful. So before, after, before, after. So she had kind of a helmet head. She also had, oopsie, you have more blending around the cheek, so let me clean that up. Okay, so she had more of a helmet head. She had less face, more head size. The cranium was kind of like Megamind. I hate drawing heads. I always don't understand where the ball, round part of the head ends. I keep doing it smaller than the face. Oh my God, this trendy girl is here too. Hi, everyone. Hello. Bottom of the nose controls the perspective. Yes, FRIEREN has been, FRIEREN has been all over the place. Okay, so this was sent in to me as a DM through Discord. Lately, I've been accepting critiques like that. Simply because sometimes I don't have time to just go through the wall. But I hope this was helpful. I think her face now matches her body size. So you can see how the face was a little tiny compared to her shoulders, her chest, her thighs, her legs, her feet size. Look at her feet size. And look at her face size. Really, really off. And now it feels like it's a little bit more to size. It wouldn't even hurt actually to increase the size of her whole head. So I don't want to run the risk of a mismatched before and after. So what I will do is just leave it, but I really recommend that you lower her on the canvas. I really recommend it. What happened? Let me just merge that down. So let's try that again. Okay, so we're just increasing the size of the head a little bit. And I think it'll really add up in a second once you take a look. I think you're going to see how it adds up. Okay, so let's take a look at the before and after. This is the complete before and after. So before, after. Do you guys see those changes? Before, after. Now it feels like her head size matches her body size. I don't think you were trying to do some kind of fisheye lens or a low angle lens. I'm not sure if that's what you were going for, but I don't think that's what you were doing here. If it was, that's different. And then I really recommend that you lower her on the canvas, because you're shrinking her head size because it's close to the edge of the canvas. You're shrinking her face because it's close to the bangs. You are exhibiting the signs of a edge fear with artists. So before, after, before, after. I hope that was helpful. I have a couple more. So for this one, I think it's fabulous. I think it's so beautiful. But I think you could really experiment a little bit with some color intensity. So let's get like a jade-like green. And let's use it in some areas. Actually, it's more of a turquoisey green, something like that. It feels like you can really push this to have some kind of saturation that can bring something else to the image, because right now you're not quite realistic, not quite textured. You're something in the middle of everything. Very storybook, very beautiful. And I think some well-placed saturation, some kind of like intense saturation points. Let me see if I can try it with the saturate tool. Maybe just some extra saturation here in this pocket. Extra saturation in the space directly under the eyes. Just there. As if there's some kind of glowing golden light nearby. Some saturation there. Some behind the hair and the neck a little bit. And in all the little spaces between the hair and the neck. Not everywhere. I'm placing it too much because I'm just going to delete away at what I don't need. So when you have minimal amount of brush strokes, minimal amount of realism, very storybook, very flat, you only have so much you can do before you start to get, it starts to feel a little dull. So what you can rely on in those times where we've minimized realism is you can rely on saturation, color, charm of style, shapes. These things take up the flag where realism, where realism was left behind. So I selected the whole thing and I go back to where it was and I paste it in, and I'm just going to delete away whatever saturation I feel like I don't need. So this is working sort of like a bounce light. I feel like I have too much on this side. I don't want too much saturation at the edge of the canvas. And I think that really does a lot for the image. So before, after, before, after. And you can bring in any kind of color you like. You can bring in any kind of extra saturation anywhere you like. I personally love this turquoisey jade color. You can bring that in. But if you want to go for a classic subsurface scattering, so I'm just going to bring in that green halo in some areas, which I think will go a long way. That's how you bring that illuminated manuscript look back to the illustration. And it'll start to feel like a medieval portrait or something like that, which is, I think, what you're going for. So it really helps you when you drop in realism that you go up in style, you go up in shape language, you go up in saturation, you go up in textures. So you really like have your textures represented as efficiently as possible. You're not making everything drop in realism. You're letting something, the stats, drop everywhere, but you're letting them go up in other areas. Like losing a sense, and all of a sudden, like your hearing is amazing, or your sense of touch is amazing because you've lost your sight. The same exact thing is happening here. When we lose realism, we have to take it up in some other way, or else we're left with this kind of general dullness. It's still beautiful in its own way, but you wanted to see, you specifically asked, what can I do to make it go further? How can I take it further? I feel like you can take it further by providing some gentle, very delicate pockets of saturation that can elevate the piece a little bit and give the audience a little bit more. This is another FRIEREN piece. It's beautifully done, but I think we're missing something. We have a lot of empty space here. Lots and lots of empty space, and I think the perspective is really well done. You did great. Oh, she didn't have the other pigtail. She had it like that. My bad. So what I think you should do is show us more of the eye, and if you don't want to do that, show us a lot more of the specific kind of like the red in her eyes, which I love that stuff. There's like really, really complementary tones just brought in. Just a little extra. Show us a little bit more of the illumination in the eyes. Show a little bit of bloom in the specular highlight. Anything to kind of build the focal point back up in this direction, because we're missing the focal point now, because this is smack dab in the middle of this space right here. This is a square, and you draw an X on the square. This is where the human eye is going to be looking, and there's nothing happening here. So let's draw the X again. And let's duplicate and place her in a position where she is directly on the X. And that'll help the composition. So this is a compositional change. Okay, and then I think just do something else with the eyes. Give us just a little bit more saturation, a little bit, maybe move the eyes this way a little bit, just to look forward, so that the image can feel complete, because there's an eerie sense of incompletion when your focal point is not where it should be and is not doing stuff as it should be. Let me show you what that means. So before, that sense of incompletion in the tile, right? And this is a tile canvas, meaning it's a square. And here feels more like an illustration that's been cropped. You're not really losing much because there was nothing going on in the bottom half of her dress. So here might be a little bit more. And that's just a quick critique for that. So we did a lot today. We did this one, this one, this one, and this one. Thank you all for coming today. I really appreciate you guys coming to these live streams. If you guys want to catch the next one or hand something in for class, you can hand stuff in through my subreddit. DM me on Discord, or which you can't do unless you join my public Discord, which is free. This is a private Discord for patrons. This is not free, but I have another one that is free and has free critiques in there. So if you go to istebrak.com and you go to my subreddit, you go to this, click on this right here. This will take you to the Discord. And there is a general critique text channel on the side where you can submit your work for critique. And if you want to catch the next one, it's next Tuesday at 5 or 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you guys for coming today. And I'll see you guys next week. Have a nice weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.